Hi there, I'm back with yet another hot take video, so let's jump right in. What's George R. R. Martin's biggest mistake in your opinion? I'm not an author, so who am I to judge, right? Take my 2 cents with a grain of salt. I'd say his planned 5-year time jump between A Storm of Swords and A Feast for Crows, which was supposed to be a Dance with Dragons, was a huge mistake that was only ever possible through his gardening approach with his writing. George R. R. Martin makes up the story as he writes it. He doesn't believe in outlines, and yet an outline could have helped him realize that a time jump was going to be a problem in the future, or make sure that he writes the story in a way that allows such a time jump to work. He ultimately abandoned the idea as he realized that he constantly had to do flashbacks to events that occurred during the time jump. I have nothing but sympathy for him here. A lot of his characters are very young, and his POV style makes it insanely difficult to write. Take Bran Stark, a child who is presumably going to play a vital role in the endgame of A Song of Ice and Fire. There's thousands of years of history to unpack to explain the motivation of the others. All the magical aspects, the green seeing abilities and its dark implications like Jojen paste, and it all has to be explained through the eyes of a kid. I think aging up characters like Bran would have benefited George R. R. Martin a lot, but for some reason, it just didn't work. If you're interested in my take on the Winds of Winter writing struggle, go check out my 3-part series on why I believe Winds of Winter still isn't out yet. Moving on, Anshuman says, looking back at it, Daemon kind of lacks that bite he should have had according to the books. I think, if anything, he's too evil in the show. Matt Smith plays it brilliantly, but I wish they would emphasize on the good side of Daemon a bit more. You know, making him a grey character and not just a straight up villain. The deleted scene of Daemon embracing his daughters, Baela and Rhaena after Laena's death would have been a great start. Regardless, I enjoy Daemon a lot in House of the Dragon. I'm interested to see how the dynamic of our characters will develop over time. Aemon seems to be more nuanced than we all thought he would be, and there's an ongoing approach to make the relationship between Alicent and Rhaenyra more compelling. I personally prefer that over the goofy, stereotypical, evil stepmother and literal child beef that got teased in Fire and Blood. There's even an attempt to go for more complexity with the dragons for the TV audience. Whether that will be successful, we shall see, but the dance with all its riots and all its battles can definitely benefit if such a plot is done well. I appreciate that this show doesn't dump everything down to please the general audience, but I'm drifting off. The next one comes from Suniva. David and Dan adapted the first books better than Condal adapts Fire and Blood. I don't know if that's fair, it's just so different. I think David and Dan did a great job in the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, even adding some original scenes that weren't part of the books and really matched the show perfectly, like Robert Baratheon's and Cersei's conversation in season 1, or the Arya and Tywin dynamic at Harrenhal. But if we're looking at anything past season 4, the question that I ask myself all the time is, what exactly happened after season 4? Was it all David and Dan in the earlier seasons, or did someone like Brian Cogman help them out by keeping the lore intact? We'll never get an answer on this, and it doesn't matter. You can't really compare Fire and Blood, which in my opinion is a decent read, to the masterpiece that is A Song of Ice and Fire. Ryan Condal and his team adapted and added to something that is not that great in my opinion. If Condal were to adapt A Song of Ice and Fire, however, I think he'd do a tremendous job, and I highly doubt that he would abandon the source material and deviate in a way that makes the story unrecognizable like David and Dan did. This is all what ifs and what abouts, of course. We'll just never know. Jesus V asks, how do you think David and Dan should have changed how the Night King dies? I think he shouldn't have existed in the first place. He doesn't in the books, and I don't think he ever will. I believe that this is a TV only thing that was there to add a face to the others. It's difficult to achieve this creepy hive mind feeling we get while reading about the White Walkers on television though, so the decision to go for a Night King character is understandable. How could we make the death of the Night King in the show better? I think almost anything that you could come up with would be better than a ninja sneaking by the army of the dead, jumping out of literally nowhere and dropping a knife in a really cool way to be able to kill the Night King. Legitimately anything would be better. I really don't care that Jon didn't get to have a cool sword fight with the Night King either, by the way. I guess it would have been up to me, I would have made Theon kill him. That could have been a nice little redemption arc, but again, the Night King thing was never really that deep for me. And judging by his supposed motives in the show, and the nowhere to be found explanation, it was never supposed to be deep anyway. Skeptical Slav says, Stannis will order the death of Shireen. For the longest time I totally would have went against that, but I kind of made my peace with this idea. I think Stannis sacrificing Shireen would make perfect sense for his character in the books. Of course, not to withstand bad weather, that's nonsense, and Shireen is miles away from Stannis at Castle Black. Yada yada yada, we've all talked about this countless times. I think Stannis will win at the Crofters village and successfully retake Winterfell through the help of the North. But the others might arrive towards the end of Winds and Stannis might be the first character to oppose them. That is a scenario where I could actually see Stannis sacrificing his daughter to make one last desperate attempt to save the realm. An incredibly vile and bad act that doesn't wash out the good, nor a good the bad. We discussed this in great detail in a 2-part series on my channel. Definitely go check that out for more details. McCavity says, Aegon is real. He might be. He might be. It's funny how universally adapted the Aegon theory is. It's almost like the fandom just canonized this out of nowhere, which is something that happens quite a lot in our community. Theories just become canon. I think he is a Blackfire myself, but it's just not confirmed. No one ever confirmed it. We are all just waiting. We are all just guessing. And with 12 years of waiting, no one can fully know because George likes to rewrite stuff and we hopefully will know one day. Well, unless of course it's something to do with Ashara Dane and Jon Snow. That's just always wrong. It's always wrong. The last one for today comes from Daenerys. House of the Dragon should have spent no more than 4 episodes with the young cast and at least 6 with Darcy and Cook's characters. We should have seen more of the Green Kids, the Strong Boys and the Velaryons, who are all reduced to minor side characters. We barely know them, other than their main characteristics. So far we've only seen the world through Vizzy T's, Rhaenyra's and Alicent's eyes, and that's where the show falls short compared to Game of Thrones. Imagine if the first season was only told from Ned and Tyrion's POV. I fully agree with you, but here's the thing. We should have had like 15 episodes to do it all justice, but I still appreciate that we even got to see any of the early stuff that actually made that cut. House of the Dragon was a very, very risky move by HBO. In general, after the response to season 8, it needed to deliver, and the easiest thing to do would have been to go for a dragon battle series that focuses on nothing but action sequences, of which there are countless in this story. This is actually something that really got me worried back in the day when House of the Dragon was just announced. So I really appreciate the results we got. George said that he wanted more episodes too, and he made it sound like they had to kind of fight to even get to start the story this early. I think season 2 is going to be much slower than season 1. The decision to only go for 8 episodes will benefit the story and the battles of the show because more money can be spent on different battles. The Battle of the Gullet will not happen in season 1, and that is a good thing. It leaves some room open for slower paced scenes that will develop our characters over the course of the Dance of the Dragons. So long story short, I agree, but I also appreciate what we got. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry that I haven't been uploading as much as I normally do, but it's gonna be a very exciting year. We're gonna have lots of interviews, bigger, better. I can't wait to share more on that note. And apart from that, I definitely plan on doing a lot of House of the Dragon content. And later on in this year, I mean, Duncan Egg is finally being made. Like, it's an actual thing, and I want to do a series on that. I have lots and lots of plans for this year that I can't wait to share. There's also a lot of exciting stuff outside of the Song of Ice and Fire space. I plan on launching a short film channel where I will release short films. I just fell in love with acting, and I want to create with my own stories as well. That is something that's very high up on my to-do list for this year. If you're interested in any of that, just follow me on Instagram where I will update you guys. Thank you guys for watching, take care, and see you later.